Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to discuss question number 6 of trial 2. You can pause the video to read the questions. Now let's start. An orange is placed 25.2 centimeters in front of a diverging lens. This is our orange and this is our diverging lens. And then 25.2 centimeters daripada objek kita, daripada orange kita sampai ke tengah-tengah lens tu, which is the optical center. Next dia kata, with a focal length of 18 centimeters. And because this is a concave lens, means that the focal length should always be negative. So we're going to put f equals to negative 18 centimeters. Alright, now let's do question number 1. Sketch the ray diagram to show the formation of the image. So we draw back the orange, and then I'm drawing the principal axis using the ruler. Now let's draw the optical center of the concave lens. Da-da-dan. And now let's mark the focal point. I'm drawing the first ray that is from the top of the orange, straight parallel to the principal axis, straight to the optical center. And to diverge the ray, I will be using the focal point F over here as the anchor of the diversion. You know what I mean? Dotted lines before the lens, and then a straight line after the lens. And don't forget the arrows. For the second ray, it is from the top of the orange straight down to the optical center like this. And all garis lurus lah, tak payah putus-putus. Hence, the image form is at the cross-section pula, at the intercept of the two rays. Alright, now marks. Where can we get our marks? The first one is arrow. If you write down the arrow is really important. Then you can get D1. D stands for diagram. And then the second one, if you put the label O and I. O stands for object, I stands for image. And then there's another D1 for you. So we have 2 marks for just drawing the ray diagram. Now let's do question number 2. Determine the image distance. That would be V. And for that, we are going to use the thin lens equation. That would be 1 over f equals 1 over u plus 1 over v. The f is negative 18, 1 over u is 25.2. And finally, your v should be negative 10.5 centimeters. Negative means a virtual image. So dah betul lah ni, because our concave lens always produce virtual image. Sekarang masa untuk mencari markah. Okay, kat mana markah kita boleh dapat? So if you put the f equals to negative 18 centimeters, you show that this focal length for the concave lens is negative value. Then you boleh dapat markah konsep K1. And when you do the substitution correctly with the correct answer and the correct unit, then you can get your GJU1. G as in gantian, J is in jawapan, and U is the correct unit. Now let's proceed with question number 3. Determine the magnification. We're going to use m equals negative v over u since we have the v and the u. We also have another one more equation for the magnification, that is m equals to hi over ho. But since we are lacking of those two information, we're going to leave that one out. Instead, we're going to use m equals negative v over u. The v is negative 10.5. Don't forget the negative sign. And the U yang kita dah ada dekat sebelah atas tu, 25.2 centimeters. And your final answer is 0.47. I purposely did the positive sign over here because I want to show you what kind of information you can get from the magnification itself. So magnification value actually have 2 parts, the sign and the value itself. So for sign, we have 2 parts, 2 signs lah. We have positive and negative. If the sign is positive, it means that this image is virtual, and normally for virtual image, it is upright. And if the sign is negative, it means that the image is real, and normally for real image, it is inverted. Next, for the value part or the magnitude of the magnification, if it is less than 1, it means that the image is diminished. If it is equals to 1, then it means that the image is as the same size as the object. And if it's more than 1, if the magnitude is more than 1, it means that this image is magnified. So when we want to answer question number 4 here, determine the characteristics of the image, we can just refer to the parts of the magnification. The positive signs means that the image is virtual and upright, and 0.47 is definitely less than 1. It means that the image is diminished. Now let's talk about marks. What marks can we get? So if you got your answer, your final answer for the magnification, that is GJ1. And the question number 4, you can get another 2 marks if you got 2 correct characteristics. So any 2 correct characteristics and you can get J2. Let's go to question B, our final question. Convex meniscus lens has a 17 centimeters radius of the convex surface and 25 centimeters for the concave surface. So I'm drawing here the convex meniscus. This is a convex surface. I'll put here R, which is 17 centimeters. And this one is the concave surface. And that would be 25 centimeters. So for the shape of the convex meniscus, you should know lah, the shape is like this. But some of you might ask, Madam, macam mana saya nak tahu yang ni 17, yang sebelah sini yang 25 centimeters? Can we have 2 curvy surfaces, right? So the one that has curvier surface has the smaller radius. So untuk lens yang ini, you can see that this side is curvier, right? So this one is 17 centimeters. While this part, yang ini, this surface is 25. Sebab dia less curvy, so the radius is bigger. Next, I want to determine the sign for the radius. Saya nak letak negative ke positive. So it depends on how I see the light rays. So I assume the light rays coming from the left to the right. And I like to use the term suka bonceng. What is that? If my ray hits the bulging surface or the one that protruding surface, then my radius R is positive. If the ray that hits the dense surface, like macam kurus gitu kan, then my radius R is negative. When we go back to this ray, I can see that my ray hits the first surface and it's bulging. So it is R equals to positive 17 centimeters. And for the second time, it hits another bulging surface. So our R is positive 25 centimeters. I'm going to put it here as R1 and this one is R2. Another information given in the question is the refractive index of the lens, and that would be 1.52, and we are trying to find the focal length. So I'm going to use the lens maker's equation, that is 1 over f equals to n lens over n medium minus 1 times 1 over r1 minus 1 over r2. Okay, we add in all the values for the n lens and medium. The medium is air, so we're just going to put here 1. And then for the R1 is positive 17 minus 1 over R2. R2 is 25, also positive. And your final answer, the focal length, is 102.16 centimeters. So that's all. And lastly, let's determine the marks that you can get for this question. 3 marks, yeah? So we have the concept 1 if you write down the positive values for your R's. And then your correct gantian is G1. And your final answer with the correct unit is another 1 mark, that is JU1. So the total marks for this question number 6, is 10 marks altogether. So I wish you very good luck for your PSPM and thank you everyone.